Right, I mean. So, wait. Yeah, turn on a. Still showing video unavailable. On the students link, invite people to your webinar, then go to direct link to live room. Could you see from your end? But I actually able to see there is one person in. You can see as in the whole page. Okay. Okay. Right. Jasper 你可以 send 啊。No. Can see on YouTube. Could you send me the? Yeah. Could you send the YouTube link? I pin it here. Okay.
那个 link 都有啊。看到了那个。
看到。
YouTube。
No. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. Yeah.
哇，都收到了呀。
都是。
我觉得几手。
啊 ？Slide
还是用我这个，我这个要。
然后放。可以翻嚟啦你。
So 邊度 chat 啊？OK。Be alive. Video unavailable. Hello. Yeah, just say hi if you can see or hear me. Hello. Okay, so while waiting for others to join our sessions, we are sorry about the technical issues. However, stay tuned on this. We might be dragged a bit longer. So to cover the past sessions. All right. Hello. Yeah, just say hi if you can see or hear. With delay here. Hello. Okay, so while waiting for others to join our sessions,
YouTube live 咗而家，so
YouTube live，所以我兩可以睇。
佢哋如果睇唔到呢度，佢哋就會去 YouTube live。
Oh, okay. So for those who are still not able to through the website, you can actually log into the YouTube so that we are able to look into it. You can use the YouTube to view the live sessions. All right. So so 我哋直頭可以 start 咗定係 Okay. So we are going to start the entire sessions. There will be in total of the 4 sessions, which included there will be 1 break sessions. So today we are going to talk about mainly has to do with the Qimeng Feng Shui related. Now we are going to have 2 different sessions. Today's session will be mainly for the Qimeng Feng Shui methods, and tomorrow it will be more towards on the Qimeng strategic executions. But I can see that a lot of you sending those related questions, which we have tried to adjust the sessions, where tomorrow you will cover more about the Q&A sessions of the Qimeng strategic executions. Today we're still going to cover about the Feng Shui. Okay, so I particularly like Feng Shui because the Feng Shui talks about the environment. So it's for you to assess the energy as well. Okay, so before we are going to start on the sessions, I would like to show you some slides first. Hold on, yeah. Slide 係 screen 係咪啊？係咪 on screen 啊？係，佢 upload 緊。哦，未 upload 㗎。Then you turn it back on first. 喺度啊。So 你可以 show 個 slide 咩？ Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Yes, you may post the questions. Then we will compile all the questions, and one of the session we will try to answer based on the question that you have sent in. So there will be 2 different types. The first one has to do with the technical questions. So before you key in your questions, you need to list down what sort of questions that you're referring. Are you referring to technical questions, or you are referring to the actual case study? So when you have separate it, then we will compile and separate the sessions. Then only we can answer accordingly. The reason is because when you are trying to list down the case study, then there will be a session where we might need you to key in the date and time that you have posted for this forecasting. So only we can do some case study on discussion in the white. So we need you to key in those full informations. All right. For those who have the actual questions that you need us to solve your issues, you also can drop in the questions to us, and then we will base on the time moment where we forecast to help you to answer the question as well. All right, so there will be 3 parts. Number 1, the question related to technical wise. Okay. Number 2, it has to do with case study. Case study means that if you have a past experience or past case study forecasting that you want us to help you to have further clarifications, you need to list in the question and the time that you forecast in the past. All right. The third one is the actual, which means that you're having issues and you want us to give you a guidance, not solutions. Okay, guidance means that we will give you certain options that you can do based on your current situation. That will be we will try to do a forecasting and strategic execution based on the moment where we do the questions. All right, so stay tuned on this. Now, of course, there are several things that I need to introduce. My good team, Joe Boy, is here to assist us as well. So for those who have learned, joined many classes and workshops, you know Joe Boy already. And then Joe Boy also was just in past few weeks, he has been teaching the Feng Shui, Feng Shui Module 1 and 2 in Singapore, which is very interesting subject. Now, tomorrow will be visited by Gary. Gary, he will be joining us as well tomorrow. Okay, so stay tuned on this. Now, I would like to provide some house rules. So there are some rules that you need to follow. Okay, so example, the questions related. So just now I've mentioned to you there are 3 types of questions. One is a case study. The other one is technical. The third one has to do with the current moment where you are having issues. Okay, now there are also no trolls, no off-topic related. Okay, so no direct promoting and so on, which you can see already. Now we also have our copyrights, so please make sure that you are not sharing the videos, because this is only for our internal groups, very close groups, which refers to our achievement clubs. So let's have our agreement with this. Then we will continue about our session of the day. All right. So I see that there are quite a lot of questions. Yeah, Sally, now it's 9 a.m. So we might need to drag a bit longer. Okay. So stay tuned on this. So for those who are quite hungry, you can have some biscuits. Okay. Small tips. All right. Now, so let's start with the day. There will be one of the session, in each day, there will be one of the session we will be sharing on you what are these related to the topic of the day. So for today, which I'm going to share with you, is related to the difference of classical feng shui versus the Qimeng feng shui. All right. Now, these two are very interesting topic. Now, let me try to explain in a very easy way on this. Now, Qimeng feng shui is different from the classical feng shui. The reason is because when we are looking at the classical feng shuis, we will look at the 5 major aspects. These are the 5 major aspects which is related to the dragons, the mountain, the water, meridians, and orientations. Now, when we are looking at the classical feng shui, it's certain that what classical feng shui is like, you are going to on-site. You're looking at the actual landforms, physical landforms. So you will see that the environment surrounding you, that's why when we are looking at the actual feng shui, in old days, they always go from one mountain to the other mountains to look for the right spots. Now the meridian represents by the spots, okay? So that is why when they are going to the mountain, they are looking for the right formations. They will go to the right landforms, and then they will just climb up and down. Maybe they are searching for the spots for until like maybe 3 months or 3 years at least, because they need to climb to the one of the mountain and then look at the round spot. If the spot is not good, they will look for another spot as well. That is why when they are using the classical feng shui, it takes time to look for the right spots. So all the very successful tycoons, they are using the same way. Even from Malaysia, from China, Hong Kong, they also have these methods of the classical feng shui, looking for the right spots. Now, the classical feng shui also teaches to identify the quality of lives. That is why when if you have different students or different masters that come into your life, then they just explain to you, you need to go outside and experience it. That is actually what they are trying to say. Because if you go to the site only, you understand what is the quality of the landform itself. So I give you one example, which in Malaysia we have a lot of the mid-range dragon. So mid-range dragon, they are also have the high-range dragons. There are also places where there is a flat land dragons. So different sort of landform, it will produce different results, or different people, or different successful people. That is why when we are looking at the landform, we need to identify what is the quality of this landform. How does it produce to people who are staying here? So in this environment, then we need to understand the concept of the actual viewing, which is it's like a live when you need to go there and watch it. Okay. So there is also one of the topic that says that if you learn the actual classical feng shui, then you will know how to do the alignment, because different landforms will produce in a different way, and you can tap in different sort of landform. So such as there are people who are going to tap to the water landforms, or the mountain landforms, or stars landforms. That is why the classical feng shui talks about all these related techniques. There are so many techniques. Now, what about the Qimeng feng shui? Actually, the Qimeng feng shui is like a Google map. Have you tried to look for the Google Maps? So for the Google Maps, it's like you're looking for the locations. You're going somewhere, or if you have played some of the Google Maps things apps, actually you can look for the terrain. So the terrain will tells you that certain landform. Can you see on this slide that we have shown you? So this will also tell you that the certain area where surrounding you, or the surrounding the area that where you're looking for. So it is equivalent as Qimeng feng shui. Why? The reason is because the Qimeng feng shui is a chart, or a forecasting chart, allows you to have a clearer picture of the energy flow. It's wider than the scale, or a closer scale of the area where you are staying, or the area where you are looking for the feng shui perspective. All right. So this is very good in terms like in now eras we known it as the virtual reality. Yeah, VR, virtual reality. So when we are looking at the chart, actually we are looking at the landform itself. So the chart will tells you where are the potential of the source of energy. It's very important, because some classics says that you need to learn the actual feng shui, that only you can know how to look at the landform feng shui. I quite disagree with it, because if you are looking at the Qimeng feng shui perspective, what you need to do is understand how does the energy flow, and how you are going to tap into the energy. So the classical feng shui has their own theories, whereby the Qimeng feng shui also have their own theories as well. That is why when you are learning on the Qimeng feng shui, please do not worry that you need to learn the actual or full classical feng shui first. All right. By using the Qimeng feng shui, actually you have already accessed it's like a map, or the maze map, where you are able to look at how does the surrounding area or environment can affect to the property or the area that you are looking for. That is why the Qigong Feng Shui is so powerful. Now, the second point of the advantage for Qigong Feng Shui is this chart, or when you're doing the forecast, this application able to help you to detect the hidden problem. Okay, what do you mean by hidden problem? Now, some of you may not have learned the actual classic feng shui or the knowledge of feng shui. So when you are going to the area, you do not know what are the things you are looking for, or what are the area that you need to be aware of or take note. Now, but Qigong, when you're doing a Qigong chart forecasting, in terms of feng shui perspective, there are certain points that the Qigong energy will ask you to, hey, you need to take note on this location and that locations. It at most like perhaps 3 to 4 locations. Usually the chart will guide you where to look for. That is why this is very good in terms of detecting the problem. All right. I like it there very much because sometimes in our naked eye we can't see it, and it could be the place which is quite big and huge area. That is why we are using the Qigong to help us, to give us a guideline where should we look at when we are detecting the problem. Okay. Now, the Qigong Feng Shui also very good in terms of a spiritual detector. I find it's very interesting because sometimes in when we are doing feng shui, where people who have their spiritual guidance or intuition which is very strong, they will have easily detect whether this landform or this area is good or not. In other words, is it being haunted or not? So when we are doing on this, then the Qigong will guide us whether does this area is being detected as the haunted area or not, or spiritual detector or not. That is why recently I have seen quite some cases, and there will be another session which we will share about the case studies from our site to show you that how is it possible you may define or you may detect the quality whether this area is being haunted or not. All right. So this one we will share to you as well. My personal experience I also share with it. In the past sessions we also share with it. Okay, but this is the recent case. We also have those cases that when we see such environment, then we will know that is it potential you will have these issues. Classical feng shui related theories does not say that you are able to detect, but the Qigong will tell you whether it is a haunted or not. Okay, or whether is there some of the spiritual related matters that will affect the house. So that's why we need to look at the Qigong Feng Shui, how powerful Qigong Feng Shui is. Okay, now the next one is the advantage of this Qigong Feng Shui. It is because it is like what we are just like I said, that it's virtual reality VR sessions, which means you can do the forecasting of feng shui related applications from far locations, which means, example, if you are in Malaysia or if you are in Singapore or whichever location you are, somehow your overseas friend asking you related their house feng shui. So it does not require you to fly all the way to their place, but actually you can plot your chart to look at the environment of where your friend is staying from the far sides. So the Qigong chart will give you a guidance that there are certain pointers you might need to look into. So that's why this Qigong Feng Shui is very interesting. I find it that sometimes we always have a lot of friends, but it's not within the same area. It could be at the overseas, further away, far away place. That's why we sometimes it's not so suitable for us to from one place to go to the other place. But we can use the Qigong chart to identify or to check the quality of the feng shui within that area. All right. That's why we need to understand the concept of qi men feng shui, how we use it. Now, the last point is just now what we have shared about the source of qi. Now, there are two types of source of qi when we are checking on the qi men feng shui, but it requires you to identify and intuitive to understand this qi is referring to what sort of qi. Okay, there are two possible. Number one is the incoming qi. Now, remember just now we have shared about the classical feng shui. There are 5 aspects: the dragons, mountain, water, meridians, and orientations. Now, these in qi men feng shui, one of the technique to look at the source of qi is looking at the live door. Remember that? So live door also can represent the incoming of dragon qi or dragon energies, which means the layers of dragons. Now, the second possible will have to say that the live door can also represent by the energy where it collects within the vicinities. Okay, so that's why when we are trying to look at the source of energy or the live door, it can represent in different layers depending on when you're looking at the entire landform, and then you detect the entire energy flows of it. Now, usually I would like to use add in the informations of the for some of you, if you have joined the our June or July sessions of the qi men feng shui, I've shared one of the technique that I usually quite like to use is to look at the heavenly stars. There are 2 different types of heavenly stars. The first one has to do with heavenly ambassador. Okay, heavenly ambassador. Now, heavenly ambassador usually, in my view, because in many different consultants or different instructors, we will experience in different way. That's why we can share many informations. So it does not mean that some of us have talked about one point, the other instructors will talk about the different point. It does not mean that it is the debate sessions. Try not to use the debate sessions, because when different experience where we see, we can use it in a different way. All right. So the more we share, the more you have advantage to know about this information. Then you just need to record now, and then it might be one of the day you might be able to use it. So in the old sessions where we are doing the identifying the landforms, usually I would like to use the heavenly ambassador as the higher ground or landforms, where the heavenly grain, which is the opposite, if you see the heavenly ambassador in one side, there will be opposite will be definitely a heavenly grain stars. So these two will help me to identify the height or the contour of the land within the location that I'm checking on. Right. So example, if the heavenly grain is in the west location box, which means the heavenly ambassador will be on the opposite, which is the east box. So when I look at these 2 stars, then I will know that within the location that I'm looking at, I will see that there will be one is slightly higher ground, the other one is slightly lower ground. Okay. And then the second point only I will check on the live door, because when I have identified the quality of the land or the contour of the land, then I will know then how does the energy flows. After that, only I will look at the live door. That is how I use it. All right. Different people have different usage. Joe Paul also have different experience as well, and he will look at different focus points. Doesn't mean it's wrong. No, different people will use different technique as well. Same as Bazi, same as Feng Shui. Different people, we will use different technique depending on what is the objective, what is the results that you want to achieve or your clients want to achieve. Okay, so when we are doing this, please do not try to try to be so stressed about if you haven't learned the actual classical feng shui, you cannot use the qi men feng shui. This is a wrong concept, because both are different types of applications. Now, the weakness of qi men feng shui is only one, is if you are looking for the right spots, the best ever spots for feng shui methods, qi men feng shui cannot detect this. But the actual classic feng shui will help you to identify where is the right spots you need to look into. That is why it is very important when we are trying to comparing. So if you're looking for right spots, the classical feng shui will be able to help you on this. If you are looking for the spiritual related or hidden issues where you can't see on your naked eye, Qi feng shui is very good at it. That's why they have their own advantage. Now, if some of you haven't learned the actual classical feng shui, please do not worry about this. In some day you might be able to learn on this. That is why when we are looking at the perspective, it's two different perspectives. One is on the live session, it's like now we are live sessions. Live session is like the classical feng shui. Looking at the actual landforms, what is the height? Because when we are looking at the classical feng shui, we always look at the positions and spots and then surrounding embrace, the table mountain, the embrace of the entire land. But if you are looking at the Qi feng shui, we are looking at how does the energy flows from one side to the other side. All right, and then also detect the hidden issues. That is why these two parts are quite different. So please do not merge it together. You can align it together. You can align together, but you try not to merge together, because when you try to merge together, you will see a lot of confusion. All right, alignment is the most important. That is why in the actual of the classic feng shui, we talk about alignment. But Qi feng shui doesn't talk about alignment. Qi feng shui help you to have clearer picture on what are the landforms surrounding. All right. So this will be a session. Yeah, you want to add on something?
Yeah. So I want to add on is when I utilize Qi feng shui, what I found is actually Qi feng shui is more about the feeling, the emotional part of the occupants. For example, when I open a door at a Harmony Deity, I found that this property, there are a lot of people who is happily visiting this property. Actually, that's my house.
Oh, okay. What Joe Boyce says that it's you remember there are two different parts of Qi feng shui. One is more toward the forecasting. The other one is the blue charts. Remember the blue charts?
Yeah, I'm talking about the blue chart.
So the blue chart is a permanent thing, which means when you move in, that is the energy that influencing your emotions, influencing your feelings as well. So when you're trying to align it, then it will have different results. That's why a later session, I believe later session you will be sharing, right? So there will be a lot of case studies from our side as well. Of course, we need to hear it from you. If you have your own case studies, do share with us, because sharing is caring, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to start with the second sessions has to do with the technical questions. So there will be question and answer sessions. Now, this session has to do with the questions that you have sent it to us. So when we are looking at it, then we will answer it. Of course, you can jot it down or you can answer as well on behalf of us. What could be the answer or insights from you? All right. Let's have a look at the first question. So I believe that you all have a lot of questions. So please don't be hesitant to send it to us, but you just need to clarify and just give us a guideline. Is this a theoretic questions? Is it a case study questions? Or is it a now questions? Then from there, we understand how to answer to you as well. All right, so this is the first questions from our student, Adeline. So the first question has to do with, to save me quality time, can I use the forecasting chart to select or rank the house I want to arrange for inspections, and then open another chart when I arrive at those premises to reconfirm? Okay.
Forecasting chart to select the house I want to. Yeah? Yes, you can do that. I mean, like for example, there's a property agent who contact you and see, oh, I have a few houses for you to have a look at. Yeah, at that time you can actually open a forecasting chart and to select which house is worth your time to visit and which house doesn't worth your time.
Yeah, but I think your question is you are trying to plot two different charts. Perhaps the time where you receive those messages, or the time that when you want to check on the quality of the house, then you plot that chart and you use that chart to go to the site as well. yeah, you can't use two different timing unless you suddenly there is another questions or another moment where you receive another questions. Then only you plot the second charts. Example, I have a new property, which one property? So I plot the chart first, and then suddenly the agent they say that, oh, now there's another new property comes in. Then only you can plot the newest chart, which is the moment the charts that you receive the message, because the question is different already. Number one is the current the previous one, you have only one option, so you have only one house. You need to check the quality of the house. Then if you're looking at the second question that has to do with maybe more than one houses or more than one property that you are looking for, or someone has sent it to you, perhaps you want to do a comparison, then it's a different question already. So you need to understand the concept of the markers. What does this marker represents to you? Okay.
Okay.
All right. The second question is,
if I am to inspect 2 to 3 properties in around the same vicinity and within a 2 hours block, how do I determine which of those property have better feng shui? Okay.
This one you're expert.
Okay, so when you open a chart, a forecasting chart, there will be a day and the hour. Day will be your asker, which is you, and the hour will represent the property, right? Okay, so for example, the first property that you are going to inspect, you can use the hour palace. Then perhaps the second property, you can utilize the Loshu chart with the Loshu chart has a flying pattern. Like from number 6 is in the northwest. So assume the first hours is northwest box. Then the second chart you fly to the 7 box, which is the west box. That will be the second house. And then you can fly over to the northeast block, which is the third house. Okay, so this is usually this is how I do it for 2 or 3 houses. So I pick the hour box as the first house, and then I check which is the Loshu number, and then the second one I fly over to the other number, like 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. And this is how I check the property. How about you?
I think the answer is quite correct, which is quite accurate. The reason is very simple, because if you have more than 2 properties or 3 properties that you're looking at within the same vicinity, then we need to add in the concept of Loshu charts. The Loshu charts will guide you that what are the locations that you need to look at. Example, if the agent brings you to the first place where you do not know which first place you're referring, then as Joe's technique, look at the hour chart first. The hour box reside in one of the 8 boxes. Remember, they are southeast, east, northeast, north, northwest, west, southwest, and south. So one of the box will be reside as the hour box. So the hour box represents the first property where you drop by or you have gone to visit. Now the agent will also talks about the second location, or where they will bring you to the second locations. But you do not know where is the second location, right? So what you need to do is, from the first the hour box, what is the next jumping line of the Loshu charts? Example, if I'm looking at the southeast, the next property is the northwest. It cannot be at the center box because center box has no locations. So when my first location is the hour box is within the southeast, the second property will be in the we need to look at the northwest box of the Chiman chart. Then the third property will follow the sequence of the Loshu arrangement, which is the west location of the Chiman chart. So this is how we look at if you have more than 1 properties or 2 or 3 properties. So take note on this. Okay. So there are many techniques. The other techniques that what Joey have been using in the old days, it has to do with the live door technique. Now, live door technique is not very hard to use. It's just giving you a slight informations that if you're urgent, you want to choose the one of the unit, then you look at the live door. Where is the live door located at within that forecasting chart? So the live door represents the source of chi. The live door also represents the mouth, the chi mouth as well. So when you're looking at this, in the old techniques, they are using the live door to represent the main door or the door that you access. So you have to check with this, where does the door, the live door reside, and then you just tell the agent, or you just look at the floor plans, where does the main door is reside. If it's aligning with the achievement chart, that is the house that you can choose. All right. Okay, next question. Oh, okay. So I will click here.
Oh,
I'm still new here.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, technical question. How to calculate the numerical representation of the number in each sector? When do I times divide add minus the number in the box which is original number, Yijing number outside each box? Okay.
So many questions.
Yeah. Do you understand?
Slightly a bit, but you see the numerical representations, it is depending on the question that someone is like asking you, or the asker is asking. The reason is very simple, because in different topic or different questions, the number will be multiplied or divide or and so on, depending on the questions. And the box, if it is reside with example with 6 harmony, definitely it is times how many times. Or if it's in the DE, then it will be reduce the effect. That is why we have to look at the question first. Without the questions, we can't decide whether it is how many times, or the divide or minus or add on something. Now, the Yijing talks about the big picture. Okay, the Yijing it talks about big picture. It does not involve in number. But in each box, there are the numbers of the original Loshu charts of the number. There is also the achievement number as well. So we usually look at these 2 points rather than looking at the Yijing Gua. Because Yijing Gua, we are looking at the big pictures. How does the big picture look like? What is the end results it will be? So we will look at this. That's why different questions will lead you to a different markers. All right?
Yeah.
What about you?
Okay. The examples that I have personally faced is when normally it's dealing in a business that I need to send out a quotation, then I need to know what numbers to quote. Okay, so usually you will have a guide, like this project costs about maybe $50,000, 50,000 ringgit, let's say, and then you open and try and see 4, 6. So roughly you will know that maybe for the 6,000 you will get the job, or you can try your luck to put in 64,000. Yeah, like if you can put in 2 quotation, then one is 46,000, the other is 64,000, because you roughly know the price of what is the price that is acceptable to your customer. So that is how you do it. You choose to time or divide is you roughly say by logical deduction. Like you roughly have to know if this is $1 million project or $10,000 project, then from the numbers you plus minus it logically.
Right. So, however, this is more toward the forecasting. So, if you're using in terms of the feng shui perspective, like Qimeng feng shui, it does not give you that sort of effect, or does not look at that way. So, you might need to reconsider if you're looking at the Qimeng feng shui. We are not looking at the numbers. When Qimeng feng shui, we are looking at the nature landforms, right? So, nature landforms has to do with the deity, the stars, and the door as well. Now, the stems has to do with the items such as man-made items and so on as well. Okay, so different aspect or different component, we will look in a different way. All right. Okay, so next question from Phyllis.
What does it mean if the asker and or outcome is in the center in the Qimeng chart?
Okay. So when you're looking at the Qimeng chart and you find that the asker stems or the outcome is in the center, actually it is reside in one of the box, in the A box. It is not at the center. Okay, so for those who are technical, if you are trying to plot the chart, you look at where is the grain star located. Okay, in every hour there's a grain stars. Grain stars, there will be on top of the stems, heavenly stems, there will be two stems. One of the stem is come from the center box. Okay, example, if the center box is written as yin wood, then you look at the grain stars, there is also a small character of yin wood. Okay, it's not always at the center. You have to just need to look at the grains, where does the grain star at. That will be the focus point to you. It represents additional information. That's all. Okay.
And if the asker and the outcome is in the same box, meaning that the asker already decide to do that, to do the whatever forecast that is forecasting.
Yeah. So if you're doing forecasting, right, it represents the outcome is already decided, or the question is already been answered. Now, if you're looking at the feng shui perspective, now feng shui perspective, one is asker represents by the occupants. The hour box, some of the focus point represents by the feng shui. Okay, so the hour box represented by feng shui. When it's reside in the same box, it represents the feng shui is aligned with the asker or the occupants. But the other question is, does the feng shui of the chi flow or energy, does it connect with the property or not? Then we need to look at the additional point, which is the live door. Does the live door also producing the outcome or not? Or does the live door also producing the occupants or not? That's another question. So there are two types of questions. Number one is alignment of feng shui with occupants. The second question is the source of qi, does it align with the occupant as well, or the house as well? So you need to take note on this. Okay, question from Lai Miao Chu.
Meow.
Okay. Meow. Oh, okay.
Meow. If more than two asker with same year of birth, which useful got to use for the third or even the fourth asker? Okay, so same year of birth. Okay, so usually of course first choice will be looking at the year of birth. Then secondly, sometimes I will also look at where they are from. So just in case the first asker is from the south direction, and then the third asker is from the east direction, I will also use that as a useful god. And what else do you use?
Well, in different cases, I will look at different way. Okay, example, if so happen that the time that you are doing a consult, so there are several persons who are asking you, and they are falls under same year of birth. This is through my experience and what I've learned from Dato. Usually, the moment time where you meet these different people, but it's born in the same year of birth, they have the same problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, usually it's like that. Largely, the cover percentage is more than 80%. So when you find that this person, the first, second, third, or fourth, and or so ever, so happen that they're born in the same year, you will find that there's the same patterns. They are fall in the same problem. So it could be that person is not ready in terms of themselves, because the asker box represents themselves, their current conditions, their current moment, their current worrisms. But they will ask a different topic, right? Example, one will talk about the investment, the other one will talk about marriage, the other talks about the health. We have other focus point. So how does this other focus point will affect the asker box? That is why when we are looking at these things, we need to be very clear about, number one, what are the questions they're asking, because different questions will lead to different sort of results. Even though the asker could be born in the same years as same year of birth. So, but their current conditions, they might ask a different questions. They may have same issues, but they will ask different questions. All right. So when we are looking at this, we need to be very clear about the question that they ask. All right. Okay. So YL, I think it's Yiling. Okay, so technical questions, exact number calculations, element of constellations, such as metal element of constellation at on the southeast box being Earth.
Southeast
Palace.
is wood palace.
Moon
Then
and
what
bright, the sun is brighter. Is during daytime of forecastings. How this often affect number of palace, whether it is subtract. I think it's the same question as the first one now, but it is add on the constellations. Okay. So I'm not sure this is related to what sort of question. Is it a feng shui question or is it a strategy execution question? But what you need to do is understand the constellation will tell you that the celestial energy, how does affect in the situations. Example, if you're referring to the sun and moon is the natural environment or natural source of energy where you cannot control. But if the other 5 elements, such as the moon, the metal constellations, the wood constellation, and so on, it is something that you can control or something that you are able to fix. So I'm not sure what sort of question that you are referring, but in feng shui perspective, it does not use that much unless it has to do with a lot of problem. Then we will have to look at this constellation. What does it represent? How does it affecting the one of the box? By the way, Southeast box is not a earth palace.
Yeah,
it is a wood palace. So I think you are referring to the southwest.
Okay.
Now, and furthermore, the sun constellation and moon constellation in different seasons or different timing, they will have different effects. So like sun constellation will only be effect on the daytime, where the moon constellation will be on the nighttime. So when we are doing using a different perspective, such as the forecasting or the date selection applications, we also use the constellation as part of the concern. That is why when you're asking the question of the constellation, it has a wide subject. It's not necessary that it will be fixed into one thing. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yielding again.
Yielding as well. Yeah.
In filling up DE, is there a hard, fast rule? Example, external palace with DE can only be filled up by year or month or of the branch. Internal palace DE can only be filled up by hours or day of the branch, or DE can be filled up by one. Well, usually, like external palace, we know is long term. So internal palace, which is short term. So it also depends on the questions asked. Okay, depends on the question asked. So it's also based on logical answer, which means let's say if the question is asked about a property development, so definitely it has to be in years, right? You cannot finish a property within a few days. So it's either month or years. Okay. So it's based on logical. Can DE be filled up by hours? I think yes. If the result you are expecting, logical result you are expecting is within a few hours, probably yes. What would you say?
Well, DE is a wide subject. It's a very wide subject. Now it depends on the subject as well. So like I say that today is what we are going to discuss is about this Qimeng Feng Shui, right?
Yeah.
Now I have different perspective in terms of DE when we are looking at Qimeng Feng Shui. Although we didn't cover so much about this DE topic, but the moment where I done a lot of these questions in relation to Feng Shui, or when I do recently I've just done one of the consults to our WOW projects. So when I'm looking at DE, it says that there is a hidden issues, or there could be a missing something. So like if you're looking at the landform itself, DE can represent a whole. DE also can represent a whole. DE also can represent the blockage as well. So that's why when we are looking at the different perspective, we will put a different markers as the DE representative. So if you're looking at the HS can be good and bad as well. Example, if the HS box, inside the box has skeng metal, okay? If the HS inside the box has a skeng metal, it represents that this problem will affect you very fast, and it's immediate activated. Then that depends on what do we see in the actual of the things. Chiman, we will tell, they are able to tell you that what are the potential issues and how does it affect you. Why I say that how does it affect you? Because there are 8 boxes. We will look at the 8 boxes, how do they each boxes interact with the other 8 the other 7 boxes, depending on what is your focus point. If your focus point is within the southeast example, definitely this box will affect 2 other boxes. The one box is southwest, the other box is northeast, because the southeast represents by the wood element, where southwest and northeast represents by the earth element. So it will affect these 2 boxes. What does these 2 boxes represent? Then that will be another question.
Yeah.
So
my personal experience of DE during my feng shui consult is usually when I see DE, that direction will have some construction ongoing.
Construction ongoing, or it's not complete.
Yeah, not complete yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why in different topic they will have different sort of representative. So perhaps when you are looking at this fill up things, DE could be the completion of the property, right?
Yeah, probably if you're doing like Chiman feng shui on site, then you see DE box, there's a construction ongoing, and you see the number is probably how many years that we will complete.
Yeah, because when we are looking at feng shui, a constructions, it will take maybe more than 2 years or 3 years or up to 5 years. Or now, if a bigger project is 20 years, and so happen that if one of the big projects it's located one of your sectors, in that 20 years, which means one of the year or 2 of the year, it will be involved in activating the negative energy. You will be affected. So you might need to check when will be this energy will be stopped, or when will this construction will be complete. Then only you know that when the problem will be stopped. All right.
Okay. Giving again.
So the question. Okay. So in identifying the exact digits, okay, the present of HS.
In example, Palace of Salt, which contain 3. Does it mean lawful origin number 9 is double, and also the digit 3 is also double, or only digit 3 is double, but not the lawful? That's the principle. Why double? I don't. Why do you need to double it?
Yeah, the HS represents a time frame. It does not represent a doubling certain things. Example, if you're looking at the time frame, such as 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, 3 hours. So if you are looking at the external plates, for example, usually when we are looking at external plates, the time frame represents by 3 years. Okay, 3 different years, or represents the animal sign of the year. Example, you are referring to the south box, right? South box represents by the horse, so it could be the horse years. Horse year from now is 7 years or 8 years. So if it's HS, which means it is fastened a bit. Example, the HS will detect as in the horse year, it could be clashed by the rat year. So it has shortened the time. So it does not multiply or divide. But DE, it says that if it is a DE, it is complete 0. Anything that times 0 is 0. 9 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0 as well. So it does not mean divided. When we are looking at divided, we need to understand the concept of the what are the markers that we are referring to. So if you're referring to the numbers, perhaps you need to look at the questions, what they are asking. Are they asking the numbers of the certain value or time perspective? Those sort of questions. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, question D.
In identifying exact digit, when both HS and DE are present, example in the Palace of Southeast, which contain digit 6, does it mean number 6 and 4 still apply as HS and DE present together means digit as it is? Yes, whether HS or DE present together or not, the digits still apply. So we have explained before, it depends on the questions, and must be logical to the number must be logical to the questions, right? So
Yeah, it's a huge topic of the HS and DE. And by the way, for those who have learned the sign up the QMA, Achievement Academy, the advanced tier, one of the topic will talk about this. So stay tuned on this. All right. The DE and HS is a huge topic. They can use it in many ways. It can use it in the forecasting methods. It also can use in terms of the strategic execution methods. So when we are looking at DE, we will look at a different perspective. But if you're looking at the such as like in feng shui perspective, DE also represents something is broken. One of the project that we saw or the concept that we saw, that the live door is in the DE. So when we check at the actual landforms, the landform actually the main dragons or incoming dragons is being cut the neck, which means that there is a problem already. So that's why we are looking at different perspective. If HS, which means that it could be the dragon is very strong or the landform is very high, so it causes the energy flows very fast or very strong. Okay.
Okay.
Yiling.
Hi, Yiling, see you again. Okay. Not very sure how to make use nobleman animal present in forecasting indicator.
I think this is more towards the strategic executions, but I will leave my team to put it inside the strategic executions. Then we can answer through accordingly.
Yeah, come back tomorrow.
Okay, F in identifying karma, it is in relation to hook deity. Okay, so during non-presence of hook, which focus point are we looking at? Okay, now the question that you're asking is related to the karma which represents by hook, but hook only happens to the first half year. So for some who are not very sure, there are 10 different deities. Out of 10 different deities, there are 2 deities. There are 4 deities. The 4 deities are divided into 2 groups. The first group is represented by the phoenix and hook. The other one is the tortoise and tiger. So they are always switching each other. So when you see on the June period, every time when there's a transition of the yin and yang, the 2 deity will take a leave to go vacations when the other 2 deity will be replaced. That is why when in the presence of the hook deity is not there, if you want to look for the karma related points or karma related markers, you look at the tiger, the white tiger, because hook and white tiger are the parent, whereby the phoenix and the tortoise are the parent. Okay.
So during forecasting, when the asker produce outcome, it means can still get the outcome desired but difficult. So which is better? Proceed to do the methodology asker produce outcome or engage 3-step in SE. Well, asker produce outcome means you have to work hard to get the outcome. Okay. So yes, you can still get the outcome, but you have to work harder.
Yeah, but usually when it's asking the question of this, can I get the outcome or things, or should I take an outcome? I think you have decided. If you see such scenario, usually the asker has already decided to do something. It's just that they might need to align with the outcome that they are producing. All right. Justin Yap.
If the asker has more than one question, how do we read the chart? For example, answer to first question is based on our box. Which box do we look to answer the subsequent question that may or may not be related to the first questions? Well, it depends on the questions. Different questions will have different representation, or they call useful God. For example, if your question is asking about business related, then you look at live door. If your question is career related, you look at open door. If your question is family related, or home related, you can look at rest door. Depends on the question. So the answer to the question depends on the questions. So your question you have to find a representation for the question you're asking.
So example, if I'm asking the one of the questions related to feng shui, does this house produce my career, or does this house will affect my health aspect, or does this house will affect my family? Then we will look into different perspective. Example, house represents by the live door, or if you are looking for the feng shui quality, then you might need to look at the hour box. So does this box countering or producing in one of the topic that you are referring? Example, career. Then I will have to look at the open door. So does the certain energy will produce or countering the open door or not? If you're looking for the family matters or harmonious, then you can look into two possible of the markers. Number one is the rest door or the six harmony. Six harmony most likely has to do with personal relationship. If you're looking at the health perspective, then you have to look at the green stars. So when in feng shui perspective, they also have their own focus point and markers. So when you're looking at this aspect, you are checking that whether does today's I want to buy a house, or the location or where I'm looking at, well, how does it affect in terms of big pictures? So if big pictures means you have to look at everything, then you have to worry everything. But if you're looking into a specific related outcome that you want, example, I want more money, I want more careers, then you look for the very specific of the box. It's easier to look at. Okay? Now, the third one, Chiman 10,000 year calendar is out of stock. Oh, sorry. Second one. How to interpret from chart if asker is asking for which is better or best options, job applications, offer, doctor to illness, best option. Okay, different applications of these questions will lead to different focus point and the relationship as well. Example, we have to have the sequence of the flow. Number one, does the open door produce, or what is the relationship between the open door with the asker? And the second one is you have to look at the nature of the open door. How do we look at the nature? The nature represents by the stars, the 9 stars. In the open door, one of the stars will be reside on the top. So what does the stars represent? That will represent by the job flows, the roles, the career types, the environment. How does it affect? And then if you're looking at the offer, then you have to look at different focus point, because different focus point, we have to look at the potential of adding information such as the chief deity, because we have to look at the chief deity likes you or not. If it does not like you, I don't think this person will offer you, right? So that's why we are looking at the different points. If you want to know what are the markers, actually you can look into one of our book. It's called Forecasting Method. There are 2 different books. One is people related, one is the environment related and the wealth related. So those 2 books give you a guidance of what are the markers you're looking for. Okay. Now, if you're looking at the doctor and the treatments, then we have to look at the different sets of technique. Example, one of the focus point has to do with the heavily grain stars, because heavily grain star represents by the type of sickness. Okay. The second focus point is look for the 2 markers. One is the heavily hard stars. The other one is yeet wood stems. So where does these 2 box reside, and does these 2 box clashing with the grain star or not? If one of the box is clashing the grain stars, which means that is the right treatment or doctor you are looking for. If it does produce the grain star, it does not mean it can control. It could worsen the sickness effect. If the grain starts producing the doctor and the doctors, which means the heavily heart and the yeet wood, it represents this illness is not being able to solve yet. They are still in the mid of research, right? So different situations, we will look at different techniques. Okay. Okay, the third question is Chiman 10,000 year calendar is out of stock. When will it be? We are not planning to publish this again, because I think that some of you who are students have already known that Joey has started to see that the energy pattern has run off already. That is why he's going to close this down and then form a new set of the 10,000 year calendar, which takes time to look at the patterns. Because now, when it comes to period 9, every energy has changed. Actually, it started since 2016, because 2016 is the transition period of the of the Shuan Kong period 9. That's why all energy has just flipped out. So the 10,000 year calendar is not so accurate. That's why we changed the entire patterns. And furthermore, because the 10,000 year calendar does not involve in terms of the 28 constellations, so we've added in the constellations. So everything has been layer and layer, and they have different sort of energy. That is why we are not going to sell the 10,000 year calendar books anymore. All right?
Maybe you should get a drink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You answer the question.
Okay. I try to help Dawson a bit because I think his voice is running out. Okay, Jason Chow, question 1. For forecasting our chart, if day pillar is 价值, okay, and our pillar is 价成, okay, do we take the Wu as the asker palace and the Ren as the outcome palace, or both asker and outcome palace should be in the box where the chief resides? Okay, for day pillar, you look at the when day pillar, if you found 价值, then you have to look at the Wu as the reference point. But for our pillar is always the, if you see 价, then it's always the chief. It's where the chief is. Okay, so that's how your reference point is. Day pillar, you have to look at the whole pillar, 价值, then it's Wu. Okay, our pillar, just look at the 价, then it's where the chief is.
And by the way, you will see that this, when you are looking at the feng shui perspective for Qi forecastings, when you see day and hour is Jia, usually that sort of land has two different dragons, two incoming dragons, but come from a different way. Does it connect or not? Then we have to check the other perspective. But usually when two Jia falls in the same forecastings, usually it indicates there are two different dragons. Right? It's very interesting. Okay, question 2. For another hour chart, 价值 is the hour pillar, and the day pillar is something else other than 价物.
I remember we usually take chief as the outcome box, but if 价值 is in the day pillar, do we still take? Okay, so just now we answer in the first question. Day pillar, you use the lead stamp as the reference point. Our pillar, you use the chief as the reference point. Okay, next.
Viviana.
Very long question.
Yeah, we have to study the question first.
Okay.
When the outcome or the useful God counter asker, it is easy to deduce that the solution is in the box that produced the asker. Okay, I think this is more towards the strategy executions.
Yeah.
So we will skip this, and then my team will lead this to the next day.
Yeah.
All right.
Come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow.
Douglas Fong. Does I Ching have significant effect on? Okay.
Of course, it does. It does.
It
But
does.
this will be covered tomorrow.
Yeah. Come back tomorrow.
Okay.
Chua Kim Kiat.
Kiat.
Is Chiman
Or
Chiman Destiny able to forecast the destiny of a baby before birth? Before birth, how do you get a? Okay, so you the baby need to be born first before you have the date of birth. So before the baby is born, there is no date of birth.
Yeah, but you can do a forecast on to look at the condition or the quality of the healthy of the baby. One of the technique that we are looking at is there are many techniques. There are one of the technique talks about the delivery time. There are also one of the technique talks about the condition, is it healthy or not. So there's quite a lot of techniques. But if you're looking at the Qi destiny, it does not, because when we are looking at the Caesarean birth, we are still looking at the 八字 perspective. If you want to use the Qi perspective or Qi destiny to look at this concept, then you need to plot the every hour charts. but the different charts will lead you to different sort of readings. But the easiest one is to look at the 八字 perspective, which means you plot the 八字 chart of the 12 or 13 hours of the day, then you look for the right timing or best timing that fits to these charts. So there are quite a lot of technical related information that we need to look into. So you might need to be very clear about these the Caesarean birth. And by the way, Caesarean birth is not date selections, it's a 八字 selections. Okay, so take note on this.
Okay. My second question, my son asked me if Chiman can be used to check whether he and girlfriend will have a happy, lasting marriage, as he can't obtain girlfriend birth detail. Is Chiman capable of forecasting it? If so, which stamp represent my son, which is his girlfriend? Okay, interesting question. All right, okay, usually the way we use Chiman is we decide on doing something, then we forecast what is the outcome when we already decide to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not, we don't use it like to see which is can or cannot. Yeah. Normally we don't use it that way, but a lot of people ask question is can or cannot. Normally is we already decide. Okay, I want to maybe court this girl. Yeah. So what is the possible outcome if I do this? Can I, if I decided to do this to chase this girl, for example, I decided to chase this girl, what will be the outcome? Will we get married? Will we have a happy family, or we have kids? Yeah, that one you can use Chiman to forecast. But first of all, your son have to decide first whether you want to chase this girl or not.
Yeah. So we have to look at the situations. Number one is do you have girlfriend or not? If you don't have, then it's a different types of questions. So I assume that you have a girlfriend already, okay? And you have add in the example, you haven't add in their year of birth, which means their stamp of birth. Then we will use a different forecast of markers, such as the sun represents by male. Male, we will look at the Geng metal, where the female, which is represented by his girlfriend, represents by the Yi wood. Okay, then we will look into the relationship as well. How does these two box that comes to you, or how does these two box are interacting? We also add in one more information, which is one of the deity, which is known as the sixth harmony. So the sixth harmony represents by the entire of the relationship. How does it look like, and what is the picture of the relationship? It could be with the good door, or good stars, or good stamps, or it could be with the bad door, bad stars, or bad stamps. Then we will know that what's the story of this entire of relationship. So are they doing this or not? Then the next question is, we have to look at the sixth harmony. Does it produce with one of the box or not, which is the male box or the female box? So we will look in these big pictures to understand the entire topic. And when we are looking at the concept of the interacting boxes, which means there could be one box or two box or three box in terms of reading the charts. So if example, what do I mean by one box? Geng, Yi, and sixth harmony is in the same box. Okay. What could be the two box? Two box maybe Geng and harmony is together, or Geng and Yi is together, or Yi and harmony is together. What about three box? Three box means the three different focus points, if they are resided in the different box. So this will tell us a different scenario. Later, I believe it's either today or tomorrow, I will be sharing one of the very interesting topic. If I'm asking you to read, I'm sure that you're able to read. But I will give you questions and scenarios. Then I will once you have we have discussed already. Then only I will give you the actual stories, which I find it quite interesting. And the chart already guides you what are the situations. But sometimes you might not able to read because it's too many information. When too many information comes to you, it creates confusion. That is why we need to ask the right questions. Example, your last question has to do is, if so, which stamps represents my son and which stamp represents my his girlfriend, right? you didn't write down that what is the year of birth. So I will assume that the Keng represents your son, the Yi represents the girlfriends. That's all. All right?
Okay, next.
Okay, Pang Wu, technical questions. Need to know what is meant by when a door, stars, or stem is timely. Okay. There are many school talks about the quality of the door. One of the school talks about the season where you plot the time, which means seasons of the spring, summer, autumn, winter. So when we are looking at the plotting times, example, like now is the autumn season because it's belong to rooster month this month, so it's belong to autumn season. So whenever the autumn season represents my metal, is producing to metal or producing to water, these two stars are pretty strong. That's why it's called timely. Now there's another school talks about using the day as a focus point. Example, today is what day already? I think today is red day. So today is red day. So red day represents by water element. So when you're looking at the timeliness aspect, then you have to look at the water is strong. So water, stars or doors or stems are pretty strong. If you're looking at the wood, because water produces wood, so wood, doors, stars, and stems are pretty strong or pretty, in terms of that sort of things, they are pretty timely. So there is also another perspective, the third one, which is the Chiman. I believe that Chiman companion also have shared with you on this. Doors reside in what box or which sectors also represents by different timely. Example, if the heavenly heart stars reside in the northeast or southwest, the door is pretty strong. The reason is because northeast and southwest box belong to earth element. So heavenly star represents by the metal element. So the palace producing the heavenly heart. So represents the metal. Yeah. So which means that the star is pretty strong. Now, then suddenly you will come up with this. Then which means palace is not good already. Yes, the answer is yes. Palace has no longer being so good in terms of that sort of beneficials. That is why when you're asking this related things, you must come back to the actual situation. What is the questions? Are you referring to host? Are you referring to guest? Because when we are looking at the quality of timeliness, we are checking or we are using one of the technique called host and guest. So one of the topic which is advanced here, we'll talk about this. Stay tuned on this, okay? It will be a last topic. It's interesting when I just listened at how Joey teach. I was so impressed by the technique on how to use the host and guest technique. So stay tuned on this. It's very interesting. Okay, so the next question is technical to recap the forecastings. Okay.
Eunice.
Okay, I will answer this forecasting because it's not the strategic executions. Okay, so for using illness grain stars, specifically, how does one determine the solutions or treatments? Okay, I think we have answered the questions. If the doctor box or doctor palace is countering the green star, that is the solution.
Yeah. I mean, logically, how do you fix illness? It's either through doctor or through traditional medicine. So we look at heart, which is the Western doctors, or the Yi wood stem, which is the traditional type of medicines, or holistic medicine, or the traditional type of medicine. So these two are the solution for the green star illness. So you see which one counter it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so the next questions. Are there any side effects when manifesting with stems other than the three nobles, unfavorable doors, and unfavorable stars? Okay. If you're referring to manifest, which means you are doing a meditations or you are going to sage mode. When you're going to in stage mode, the stars, stamps, and doors does not take a main effect. Although it resides there, but it does not take any main effect. The reason is very simple. The doors, stars, and stamps involve in actions. So that is why that when you're doing a meditation or stage mode, it does not involve that. If you're doing something, yes, you need to look at the doors, the stars, and the three nobles or other stamps. If you're not involved in certain actions, then does not need. I'll give you one example. If you are referring to certain activities such as meeting or discussion with people, or you want to win something, these three aspects or these three components such as doors, stars, and stamps must be included, because we need to look at the condition and check what are the right activities that we need to do. But if you're not referring to anyone, you're not doing anything, you just beside the stage mode or manifesting or meditations, you are doing nothing. You just sit there and go into stage mode. Then these other three or components such as doors, stars, and the stamps does not bring any effects.
Yes.
All right.
So in a nutshell, manifesting, just look at the deities.
Yeah.
Ignore the other three.
Yes. Recently the lunar festival, the Mooncake Festival.
Yeah.
I did share one of the dates, which is the actual days of the 15th, which is the Jiwei Day. That day, I have chose a specific hour, which is the 3:30 p.m. and the I think the 7 star is recited in the snake.
Oh.
But I still ask my friend to go and do the meditations and back to the snakes. After that day, these several days he blamed me because he don't have time to go gym, too busy to work. I think there's some effect of it. So when you're trying to use the meditations or manifesting, you need to understand what are the things that you want. Then you use different types of deity for you to do the meditations. Okay. So I find it's quite interesting.
Okay, next.
Okay, so Kong Mei Hua, how to interpret if a person's destiny natal chart is Fu Yin? We don't care about Fu Yin or Fan Yin in the destiny, because when we are doing a forecasting, then we will look into the perspective of the energy flows or the current moment of energy. So it's like a snapshot chart. So when we are looking at the destiny is a long term, so we don't care about Fu Yin or Fan Yin. So no need to worry about this. Like my chart is Fan Yin, so what? Still the same things that I do, because when we are looking at the destiny chart, it's a long term energies. It flows everywhere. So we don't look at this part particular, but when you're looking at the forecasting or strategic executions, then you need to concern the Fu Yin and Fan Yin.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of the topic of the advanced tier also talks about the Fu Yin and Fan Yin. Stay tuned on this.
Yeah. But Mei Hua, I have good news for you. If your Qimeng destiny chart is Fu Yin, actually you are strong.
What do you mean by strong?
Yeah, because everything go back to the same patterns. So it's all timely.
Okay. All right, Fu Chi Lam.
Which star, deity, stamp, or door can describe whether a newly met boyfriend is cunning, I think it's cunning, or not sincere? Because recently my friend asked me to check her boyfriend bazi. I only check her boyfriend that combo and mesh with her bazi, but I don't check sincere or not in Qimeng, as I haven't learned. Last week my friend told me that she had settled this boyfriend with $800,000 from threatening.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think you can, if you don't have the boyfriend bazi, you can use the Qimeng forecasting chart and use Geng matter to represent the boyfriend. And depends on that palace, what are the deity, the stars, the door, the stamp there. Yeah, if you see a tortoise there, then you know something's not right.
Correct.
Yeah, and also depends on what is the relationship between the Geng matter box with that person box. Yeah, probably is countering the person, then maybe the threatening is happened because of that. That's one technique that you can use.
Yeah, Actually, 八字 also able to help you to detect this. Example is if you're looking at the 八字 combo and match. It does have in these indications. It just tells you that the affinity or the relationship between both of you are pretty good or not. But if you separate these two charts, you read it separately, single, solo, you can actually read that person, what is the character of this person. So you might be able to detect these issues before you start to look at, or you're not in Qimeng, but you're still able to detect this in 八字 perspective. Of course, Qimeng is fastest. When you look at the box of the boyfriend and the girlfriends, then you see what is the deity is reside, then you will see that there's a potential of these issues. And the usually when you're looking at this potential of the threatening is when the sixth harmony is reside with the fear door. So usually you have this problem. Okay.
Okay. Lily, when come to investment point of view, okay, live door produce Wu, produce Asker is profitable. But when compared to scenario Wu produce live door and produce Asker, which outcome will give better profit? Okay, live door produce Wu and Wu produce Asker. That means live door is counter Asker.
It could be.
Okay, live door counter Asker. Okay, so I think depends on how do you define profitable? Okay.
Perhaps I think the live door produce Wu, which means see live door represents by profit, Wu
Yeah.
represents by capital,
Cash.
cash or capital, and Asker represents the Asker. So this scenario is better compared to the other side. Example, the Wu need to produce live door and produce the Asker, which means capital need to be add into the profits. You need to add in cash, or you need to throw in some cash before it comes to profit. So which means that there's no return for now. You might need to wait. You might need to spend more money in order to invest into that profit or that subject. Only you will get the profits.
Yeah.
So easy will be the first criteria. The second one, you need to put in more. You need to add in more of cash. Then only you will get the returns.
So the first one is live door will give you cash flow first. Whether it's profitable or the other one profitable, we not sure. Depends on the number. But at least the first one is you get the cash first. Then the second one is you have to invest first. That's the difference.
Okay, next question, Josephina.
Personal related.
Okay, personal related means is it a case study? I think so. Okay, so let's study this.
According to I don't know how to do this, of my son, she must perform an operation that includes an extraction of what's that? Placement of drainage tube in the internal form in the middle ear and cost of nasal. I checked the feng shui of the house and where my son sleep. There is a tendency of hearing problem for the children. My question is, which are the best favorite date for the operation to be done on my son in October so that the result of the operation are favorable, have a quick recovery and permanent improvement. In addition, my son can accompany my husband in November event of Joey without any problem.
How is it?
Date selection. You want to take this?
Okay.
Okay.
So if you're looking at this one, might need to do a forecasting on this. Okay, but she's asking when is the best date, right? So if I'm looking, remove the problem or not? Let's see. Extract the endenoid. Okay, placement of this. Okay, so involve the surgery related. Is for the date selections, I will use your son's personal resource day, number one. So if example he is born as a metal day, then all earth days should be used except the graveyard days. Okay, so which contain the Earth star as well, the Wu day or the Ji day, which is on the top stems. The second criteria I will look at is the